For this next demonstration, we are going to show you the general cleanup of your erection views. So let's go back into Drawing Editor and also pull out your drawings for your project 1. We're going to look at, instead of selecting our details, which we looked at a detail before, we're going to select our erection views, and here's our erection views we created. We're going to open up ISO, so double click on ISO with your left button, and you are going to see your isometric view. Now, for the general cleanup of these plans, I want you to try to clean them up to look as close as possible to the plans that I have given you. So for this isometric view, the scale on this one here, we're not going to add any grid bubbles or anything like that that will be affected. So for this one here, let's go to our drawing data, DD for drawing data, and let's change this to 0.75 and hit OK. Now I'm going to hit DD again for drawing data, and here's that example of, it'll tell you about the size. So if you know you have a 24 by 36 drawing, right now at 0.75 it's not going to fit on the page because your height of your page is 2 foot, and this is saying it's about 3 foot. So let's change this to 0.5 and OK. I'm going to hit DD again, and now it's close to that 2 foot, and by the time we clean this up it'll fit on the page. So let's leave it at 0.5. What we're going to do first of all, SDS2 automatically added this on there. I'm just going to drag my box and put a box around it. Hit D on my delete on my keyboard to delete that. And then from there, when we generated this isometric view, for this purpose here, we left everything as is, so it put piece marks on here and so forth. So to get rid of all that information, down on the bottom of your screen here, which you can't see because of my screen here, okay, now I got the auto hide off of my toolbar down there. Now you can see this eView cleanup button here. You click on that icon. On your button bindings it says by a piece mark, several, or by a location. If we pick several, you can do a lot of things at once here. So in our case here, basically our piece marks, we want to hide them. Our section sizes for our members, we want to hide them. In the isometric view here, there's no elevations, but in general we can hide everything. So you can hit clear over here, you can hit select, and it'll select all the items in that line. So in our case, let's just hit select all the items in that line, and then on the bottom here you can tell it which items you want this to affect. You can filter it, so you can do beams, columns, vertical braces. You can kind of limit it to what you want. In our case, we're going to do everything. So with all them selected, them options selected, now it's asking me to select in the stats line here, select members. So I'm going to put a box around the whole building, menu, hit OK, and all them changes just took place. So now if I zoom in here, you can't see any more piece marks, everything's gone. Pan. Okay, so that pretty much cleared up the drawing as far as piece marks. Now the next thing you'll see on your drawing here compared to your isometric plan drawings is the bar joists are not shown on here. So we can do the same thing there. We can go back to, I'm going to hit menu to exit out of here. And go back to eView cleanup several. And in this case here, my member line, I'm going to clear out everything here. My member line is what I want to show up for the bar joist, the stick line, member line. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to say show. Then under my filter, I'm going to turn off beams, columns, vertical bracing, horizontal bracing, stairs, miscellaneous skirts, custom, and just leave joist highlighted there or checked. Again, there's a clear selection here, select all, so joist. Then I'm going to put a box around the building again, menu button, left click for menu, hit OK, and cancel out of that command, and now my bar joists show up. So now I'm gonna hit escape here to get out of this command here since there's no return button. Now I'm back to my select items mode. And now that you have this created, I mean, again, another thing you can do with your isometric view is kind of zoom in and out, and you may see something really obvious that there's a missing connection again, or something just doesn't look right. So now your isometric view looks pretty much like the one on your sheet ISO. The only thing we do not have is the one column has grid line A and 3 showing on it. If we get to that, or if you want to play around with that, if we do not get to it, basically all you're doing is creating a line and adding on a circle and a label so you can add them in yourself. The fancy north arrow, let's go into add a standard detail down the bottom here, left hand side, there's add standard detail. Again, the only job standard is our verify, engineer verify, but under global standards there are a couple north options. So if we do north arrow 1, they've got a north arrow 1 that looks like that. I'll hit cancel here and return to X other to do that again. Try north arrow 2. Cancel out of there. Return to cancel there again. Let's try north 3. Okay, so let's just say we like north 3. For rotation, right now it's showing it straight up and down. So for rotation, let's go 45, and that's going to be a negative 45. And hit apply. And now you can see it's rotated in about that, so maybe that's not quite enough. Let's go negative 50. Apply. Let's say that looks pretty close. So now if we want it there, we can hit locate, or in my case I'm going to hit pan so I can move a little bit off my screen. Now I'm going to hit locate there, and if that's all we want to add, we're done. We can hit return, right button for return, and there's our north arrow. Again, the north arrow shown on your drawings is a standard that was created. So next you could go back in and just draw a line and then a circle and a label and add grid line A and 3. Here we'll hit save. we're gonna open up, let's open up 112. Again, general cleanup, you can use that eView cleanup on the bottom here if you want to move a lot of stuff at once. For example here, let's look at this member here. Let's double click on this member, and you will see the character height for the piece mark is 3, for the section size is 3. I'm gonna cancel out of there. I'm gonna select this one here. The character height is 4 and 4. 4 is what we want. So here's an example where you can use your eView cleanup. Several. And for your height, check 4, 4. Select them all the way across. And if you want them all 4, or if you want some left at 3.5, you can select 4 all the way across. Select for your filter, select all items. Make sure you turn off any that you don't want, so our member line was still on from the previous time. And that looks like everything. Put a box around the building or your plan, menu button, okay. And all them changes have taken place. Menu, cancel out, and escape. So now all your text, piece marks, exercises are uniform height. Now as far as cleanup goes, to move stuff around, it's pretty much highlight it with your mouse, left button, grab it to move it is one option. If you need to rotate something, you want this piece mark to be over here, you can double click on it, and then you can go back to the rotation here, -45 and -45, hit apply, and they both moved. Rotate it, and again drag your piece marks around, section sizes around to move them. Back to here with this member orientation indicator. When we detailed them the first time, when our scale was incorrect, I had to turn that off. When we re-detailed them again, it was left on. So again, it's preference. I don't like them showing up on my erection plans except for channels. I like them on there because the channel doesn't have, has say basically one-sided flanges instead of having flanges both directions off the web. It's got one side. So what I like to do is go back and hide them. So again, with our eView cleanup, you can do several, and I'm gonna clear all. So first thing you can do when you come in is clear all to make sure you got everything cleared out, and then come back in here and change your filter to select all. So we'll check the box here for the flange indicator. Put a box around the entire building and return and OK, and they all disappear. Now if I zoom back in here, I said I like the channels, I like to have them on. So I'm going to, instead of doing a crossing box, I'm going to do a solid box that only picks the members inside that box. Put my shift key in. If you hit your shift key, you can pick additional members. So shift key, so now I've got them 4 members there. And now I'm gonna turn that show back on, and menu button, left click, okay, and they reappear. Now, if they appear too big and you don't like how big they are, you can change the scale here. So let's say we want 0.75, menu button and OK, and it scales them down. So I'm going to hit the menu button to exit out of here. Then again, cleanup, general cleanup. It's escape out of there. General cleanup, just move the section sizes and piece marks around to where you want them. The flange indicator, size indicator, you can move that around also. So again, it's your preference on where you want your piece marks. A lot of fabricators like the piece mark on the left end and as you're looking at the beam on the near side, because that's the way it would be tagged. So again, your preference on how you want to move your piece marks around. And you can go through the rest of your drawings and clean up your erection plans in this manner. Again, trying to make them look similar to the drawings on your project 1. So that's as far as cleaning up of the piece marks and hiding stuff and showing stuff. That's how you do it. If I go on this member here and highlight it and hit the delete on my keyboard, it disappears. Don't get worried about that. It doesn't disappear in the model. It just disappears on your erection plan. Again, if you make a mistake, there's an undo button. As far as the dimensioning, if I go back to my sheet, project plan S2, dimensioning works the same way as it did on the shop drawings that we looked at. You pick the dimension and you have to have a point to snap to. So in this case here, if we pick that point and then using your location icons up here, if you leave it on auto, it'll find the work point of that brace coming in here. And then over here, right click for return and then type a dimension horizontal. If I pick a free point there, adds on that dimension. Now one thing I will note on the dimensioning is if you look at your plan views, the dimension lines are cut off about here, and then from there into about here is shown as a center line, and it's a really light line, so it differentiates between a dimension line and a member. Again, preference, I prefer the dimension lines to stop out here and then the center line continuing in. So one option to do that. The way I add in dimensions is to add in a bunch of construction lines. So I would go in construction line mode and pick add, and then using my auto point here, it'll select the center of the columns here, the exact point, the work point, and then for the angle, or then I'll pick angle and then locate and 0. So I get one crosshair or one construction line on the screen horizontally. Then I'll pick exact point again and then pick perpendicular to that one. And then I just start adding in cross or construction lines at every intersection work point of members. Or in this case, what we're trying to dimension is the grid system, so at every column. And then after you do one, one of these, you can save that grid system and insert it into your other drawing. So again, it's my preference. I don't prefer the way the automatic detailing works of the erection views as far as the setbacks and all that stuff. So what I would do is basically add these construction lines in as shown, and then I come back and add, I'll show you here in a second, add a line there perpendicular to that one here perpendicular to here, and then let's just say one there perpendicular, another one here perpendicular, and then I'll come back in here and I will select these dimensions here. I'm just going to delete them one by one so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'll go back to dimension, add. Let me escape out of here, pan the screen a little bit. I'll do dimension, add, and go to snap it to intersection construction line, there, return vertical, and if I want my dimension line there, I'll pick that point, and then I have my dimension lines. Now what you can see is my dimension line, you can see it highlighted there in yellow, and the way SDS2 creates the grid bubbles, there is the circle, the label, and then there's a line, but that line goes way out to here. So what we can do there is we can add a construction line, mode, add, and then use exact point. It'll snap to the end of that line, perpendicular to there, and then we can move them. So what we'll do is we'll put a box around that end, and then menu, move stretch, an intersection. We'll pick intersection there to intersection here, and now move them lines. Now what we can do is add in our own lines. So to add in our own lines, what we'll do is we'll go up to our edit, and we'll go to, I'm going to break this off here. We'll go up to edit, and we'll do set line type, and pick the second from the bottom, and set pen color. And again, this is preference. My pen color I like to use as magenta, because on my plotter it's set up for a really light line. And then we'll exit all there. Then I'll come back into I'm going to hit escape to get all that command. Then I'm going to come back up here, and on the left hand side I got my line add. It's asking me for the first point. So now line add is a little bit different. As you can see, it looks like it's, I'm going to just demonstrate it here. If I just do, my options are draw, move, and return. If I hit draw, it's going to draw a line. You can see it's pretty much showing the line there at an angle. It's picking a point down in the bottom of the screen, and it's going to draw a line up to this point here. So if I hit draw, it just drew a line from that point up. So I'm going to double or click on that one and hit delete. Then I'm going to do line again. And instead of hitting the left button to draw, I'm going to hit the middle button to move. So it's telling it to move my first point to that point. Now my second point, at this point here, now I'm going to hit the left button to draw. Now it drew that line. So here I go, move, draw. And that's how you can add in your lines. Move, and in this case here, maybe you don't want that line to go all the way there, but let's just do it. I'm going to do move and draw, Whoops, I didn't hit move there. So that one there, highlight it, delete it. So in this case here, let's just say we didn't want that line to go all the way in there. We can use our clip command. So under edit, clip, and put a box. Wherever you stop this box is where it's going to clip it to. Now it's saying clip inside, outside, or cancel. So I'm going to say inside. And draw a border around it, no. And it clipped that line out of there. So same thing here, if you wanted that clipped out of there. Okay, so now we go back to edit, clip, inside, draw border, no, and we clip that out. So that's how you can add in construction lines, or I mean add in construction lines, so you can add in your own dimensions and your own lines. Otherwise you can keep what the computer gives you, and then you just gotta play around with moving the ends of your dimensions. So for example here, I mean the dimension stops way out here. I mean I'd prefer it to be in closer to the column. So down here, same thing. What I would end up doing is adding in some construction lines, using my exact point, perpendicular to that other construction line. And as you do this, it's fairly quick, so it's just a matter of, again, preferences. So just say you want that string of dimensions there. Horizontal. And you have that string. Otherwise, you could dimension them up here. I'm gonna add that construction line up here. And then just put a string of dimensions across. Now in this case here, if I wanted to pick where I want that dimension line, instead of just using free point, I could use intersection and construction line there. And now I just add that line of dimensions in there. But for the class is set up to try to follow the drawing, so here add them dimensions in like that, add another construction line approximately there, and then use your line command again and draw on the lines. Same thing as in the models, you could copy certain things. So here you can do area mode, or I mean, yeah, under area mode, there's copy objects. You can put a box around that, menu, okay, and then copy. And I could pick intersection here, make sure it's on intersection again, and copy that across. So you don't have to draw in every one individually, you can copy stuff across. So that gives you the general cleanup of the erection plans. Here, the way SDS creates it, our drawing, when we created our plan views, our plan view was named 112'0", so that's where this information comes from. And our elevation was at 112'0", that's where that information comes from. So here would be an example of, if you would prefer to call it floor framing plan, then this would have came in and said floor framing plan. Otherwise, what we can do here is just edit it and call it floor framing plan. But then just remember that when you detail it again and say don't save user annotations, that's going to change. So what I would recommend doing is if you don't want this here, erase it and add in your own. You can use the label command, you can use your line commands and create this yourself. If we created this ourselves and I put a box around it and we go to copy, we can copy it from job to job type thing. Again, you can copy here with a specific reference point type thing, but that's just copying. It's basically copying and pasting type thing. The best way to do it is to go up here to under edit again and say save standard detail, and then highlight that area, menu, okay, and then select a point where you want your insertion point, and then name in that. Say framing plan label. And then if you save that, next erection plan you go into, you can insert that as a framing plan label. But again, create that yourself. Don't use this one here because it may affect how it is pulled into your drawing. So you can go ahead and change that. Your north arrow here, you can add your north arrow using your add standard detail under global standards. Say north 3, and that'll pull up here. And if we need to rotate it, again, there's rotation here. So negative 90, hit apply, and there's your north arrow. Escape out of that command. So that should cover the general cleanup of your erection plans. Our set of drawings does not have any section views cut on the erection plans, but I'm going to give you a quick little demonstration here of how you can do that from the drawing editor. Kind of similar to the member details where we cut sections. So what we'll do is go to construction line mode, add, and I'm just going to pick a free point here perpendicular to that line, and I've got a line here and a line here on my screen. Here's that section view command again. We're going to pick this point to that point, and we're basically going to cut a section through that 16 by 36 to show that beam frame in and the connection there. I'm just going to call this test just to show you. And here we are at elevation 112. So my relative depth, how far I want it to show, if I wanted to show it the whole building, a section through the whole building from the anchor bolt plan all the way up to the top of the roof, I could tell it what my elevations are. Here I just want to show it through this beam. So I'm just going to say 110 foot 0 up to 114 foot 0. Again, my beam's at 112, so that should show enough. And then my depth in and out from where I cut this section, in a foot may not be quite enough because of where I cut the section. So let's say 24 inches or 2 foot, and then out it can be 1 or something like that, because I don't want to show any further out than where I cut the section at. And then we'll hit OK. Now it's asking me for the scale. It's going to put this detail right on this erection view here. So for this purpose, I'm just going to say 1 inch, and we'll hit OK. And then kind of like when you detail your erection views, you get the options here how you want it to show. I want this to show in wire mode and dashed lines for any hidden material, and we'll hit OK. and done. And I'm just gonna plop it in right here as a reference. But you can see on your, I'm gonna hit escape here to get out there. You can see on your erection plan, it cut a section. It's calling it test because that's what I called it. And here's your section view. So you can see that could be a useful tool to create sections on your action plan as you're thinking about them. And again, this section here will actually show up as a section in your model. If you want to edit this section here as far as adding dimensions and labels to it, it's called test. If we go back to our open views and our erection views, you can see here's test. I can open that up. The model or the section that is cut through the whole building, but here's the limits that it's going to show. So here we could come back on here, and if you wanted to add a label or something here to call out that shear bar or the bolt size, or if you wanted to throw a dimension or two on here, whatever you'd want to do, you could add them on here, and then that will show back up on that erection sheet with that erection view. So that ends this section on the general cleanup of your erection views.